Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is July 24th, 2020. This is a special meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority. Present today in Albany is Chairman Bradley. Participating by video conference are Commissioner Ford and Commissioner Fan, who can both be seen on the broadcast. Staff present are Counsel to the Authority Meyerhoff, who is also participating by video conference, and myself, Secretary Authority Donahue, who's also here in Albany with the chairman. This meeting, we have 3 matters from Counsel's office, all requests for summary suspension orders. The first item we're going to take is item 787Q and Zwello Fino Corp. I'll turn over to Counsel's office at this point.
Well, before we do that, I just want to point out on the computer, you want to clarify that supplemental thing? Q supplemental 2 is not related to this case. It's only Q supplemental 1.
You're referring to the exhibits that are in the electronic folder available to the members?
Correct.
Right.
So supplemental 2 does not relate to this case. It's only it's only 787Q supplemental should be the one that you're looking at.
Okay.
Is that correct, Mr. Amarato?
I don't know what it is that you're making reference to when you speak about supplemental items.
We'll straighten it out after the meeting if there was something mislabeled.
Okay. I'm just saying something was mislabeled in our database. I'm trying to correct it, but Tom will straighten it out after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so with that, it's 787Q and Zwello Fino Corp.
Yes, can you hear me, Tom?
Yes, thank you.
Mike Amarato is going to present this one. Please go ahead, Mike.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. Office of Counsel submitting the subject licensee and Zwello Fino Corp. to members of the authority to consider an emergency order suspension of their retail on-premise liquor license pursuant to Section 4013 of the State Administrative Act. Their serial number is 1311381. They are located at 86-01 Northern Boulevard in Jackson Heights. The license was issued on September 13, 2019 to operate as a restaurant. The sole principal is Nicole Mancini, and the premise is located in a mixed-use area. The SLA has received evidence that the licensee has been in violation of the executive orders on at least 5 occasions. In addition to that, the licensee was warned at least 3 times by the police departments along with the task force that they were violating multiple guidelines on the restrictions promulgated by the SLA in connection with the governor's orders. They have been in violation during every phase of the opening, phase 1 and phase 2, involving the same conduct: the standing, congregating, and lingering around the premises, employees not wearing masks, patrons not wearing masks while standing, and no food being served with the beverages. The public health and safety of the public is being put at risk because the licensee is permitting this congregation issues that the EO seek to prevent. The conduct that led up to the summary suspension involves an inspection that was conducted on June 10th, 2020 at 7:02 p.m. 10 people were observed drinking outside the premises without food. The police spoke with the officer, advising that alcohol must be served in a sealed container and with food, and they cannot drink and congregate in front of the establishment. So a warning was given. That was during phase 1. On June 26th at approximately 8:11 p.m., 10 patrons standing in front of the premises consuming beverages. 1 patron was observed purchasing 2 beverages without food and walking away with open containers. 3 bartenders were observed standing and serving at the window, engaging in conversation with patrons without a mask. Photographs were taken and the task force issued a warning. Once again, on June 30th, during phase 2, 3 patrons were observed standing outside the premises drinking beverages.
Small, I don't need that.
Photographs depicting patrons outside the premises. On July 3rd at approximately 3:50, we received information that employees were outside the premises and inside the premises not wearing masks. On July 17th at 11:30 p.m., which was after the curfew imposed by the city, a violation was issued for unreasonable noise in violation of New York City Department of Transportation stipulations regarding outdoor seating. And on July 18th at 9:20 p.m., over 20 patrons were observed standing on the sidewalk in front of the location, not exercising social distancing and not wearing facial coverings. Section 4013, SAPA reads in permanent part that if an agency finds that public health, safety, or welfare imperatively requires emergency action, incorporates a finding to the effect in its order, summary suspension of an order may be ordered, pending proceedings for revocation or other actions, and these proceedings shall be properly instituted and determined. None of the warnings licensee received or the appearance of clusters of patrons drinking outside inside the restaurant have stopped the licensee from serving alcohol in this matter. Even up until a recent visit at this location on July 18 revealed that the licensee has done nothing to change its model of operation. So obviously the licensee cannot be trusted. And there is no more imminent risk to public health and safety than to allow such obvious, callous lawbreakers to continue to operate while the pending charges are processed. We respectfully request the members summarily suspend this license.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fan, any questions?
No, I do not have any questions.
Commissioner Ford?
No, I don't have any questions either.
Chairman Bradley?
I have no questions.
All right, then I'll call for your vote. Commissioner Fan?
For violating the governor's executive order and many other ABC, as council had described, this licensee has created a dangerous condition for both his employees and his patrons and wasting valuable investigative resources that are very short right now during this pandemic. And I vote to summarily suspend this license due to imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare.
Commissioner Ford?
This licensee has only been in operation less than a year, and they've been visited several times, and they've created violations of the executive orders during all phases of this crisis. So I vote to summarily suspend.
Chairman Bradley?
I vote to summarily suspend as well. The executive orders that were put in place that allowed these restaurants to operate were put in place for the operation of an outdoor dining experience. It's obvious here from the pictures as well as the description from the attorney that there is nothing here to do with an outdoor dining experience. This is an outdoor bar, and that is exactly what the executive orders were put in place to avoid. This clearly is a dangerous to the public health, safety, and welfare. I vote to summarily suspend.
All right, then the next item we're going to consider is 787P, which is A&K Party Hall Corp., doing business as Aqua. It's a location in the Bronx.
So members, I am going to recuse myself from this case as well as the next case, which you'll hear about, because I was at both locations on the last dates mentioned in the investigation. And rather, that's to me an obvious conflict of interest. So to make sure this hearing is fair to the licensee, I will be exiting.
Okay, Chair.
Okay, with that, I'll turn over to counsel's office.
I'm sorry, Kayla O'Donnell is presenting this one. Go ahead, Kayla.
Kayla, are you still muted?
In fact, I was, thanks.
Okay.
All right, counsel's office is seeking an emergency summary order suspension for licensee A&K Party Hall Corp. doing business as Aqua, as this licensee has violated several executive orders, negatively affecting the health, safety, and welfare of not only the inhabitants of the area of the licensed premises, but also of the entire community. This license was issued only 13 months ago on June 26, 2019. The licensee is licensed as a restaurant. On July 22nd, the State Liquor Authority visited the licensed premises and observed 10 to 12 patrons consuming food and beverages inside the licensed premises. As the photographs in the record before you depict, some of the patrons are standing next to very tall tables that don't have chairs. They're standing tables or bar tables. Plastic cups, some with lids and straws and some without lids or straws, can be seen in every single photo that was taken inside the licensed premises. One of the photos depicts two patrons sitting at a couch, and there's a sort of lounge table or lounge end tables in front of them with a picture of what is clearly an alcoholic beverage on one of the tables, as well as food, which is great, but it's not in a to-go box, and they are inside of a premises when inside dining has not yet been approved for New York City by Governor Cuomo. Additionally, the photos reflect that 3 employees in the kitchen were not wearing face masks over their nose or mouth. 2 of them didn't have face masks at all. 1 had it over their chin. The photos also depict 4 containers, which the SLA investigator indicated contained pre-mixed alcohol, which is a violation of the ABCL. The investigator also observed patrons smoking hookah inside and outside the licensed premises. In one of the photos, you can see what appears to be an employee wearing a shirt that says hookah on it with a picture of a hookah pipe, and he's also not wearing a face mask. Additionally, there's a photograph of the pre-mixed containers, and standing next to those pre-mixed containers behind the bar is a bartender who's wearing a face mask over his mouth but not over his nose. Finally, it should be noted that a felony assault took place at the licensed premises on July 14th, and the police noted that the victim was highly intoxicated. The licensee has been charged with violating Executive Orders 202.30, 202.43, and 202.16, as well as for failing to supervise the premises. The licensee's blatant disregard of the executive orders alone warrant the summary suspension of this license. The executive orders were designed to prevent the spread of a highly contagious and deadly virus, and this licensee cannot be trusted to follow the law even when human life depends on it. As such, an emergency order of summary suspension should be imposed. Thank you.
Commissioner Fan, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Ford?
No, I don't have any questions either.
All right, with that, I'll call for a vote with Commissioner Fan.
It's unfortunate that this licensee got on the scene during this pandemic and perhaps have not operated legally since the very beginning. He's hereby violating the governor's executive order, creating a dangerous condition for both his employees and patrons, and wasting valuable investigative resources of the SLA. He's created an imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, and therefore I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford?
This licensee has violated 3 or 4 of the governor's executive orders at least. Several patrons observed consuming food inside the premise, which is not allowed yet in their area. Kitchen staff and servers observed not wearing face masks while working. Hookah observed inside and outside, which they're not licensed for, not to mention pre-mixing. So for these and other reasons, as stated by Commissioner Fan, I vote to summarily suspend.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is 787R. It's New York OP 1278006. It's JMDR 127 Ludlow LLC. It's doing business as Set BBQ Bistro. And I'll turn it over to counsel's office.
Hello, members. I'm going to do this one myself. This is a location on 127 Ludlow Street on the Lower East Side in Manhattan. It is licensed since March of 2019 as a restaurant, an Asian fusion restaurant, set up for regular restaurant type business. 8 tables, 35 seats, 10 seats at the bar. There were community board stipulations about there being no use of the outdoor area, recorded music only, doors and windows to close at 10 p.m., apparently because of the neighborhood. Although we have some reports that there were 311 activity about this location. The SLA first began receiving complaints about it last Thursday, July 16th, when a resident who identified himself as living above the bar complained that every evening except Monday, people are outside this location, surrounding it, and there's noise all night long. Later that evening, as the 16th turned into the 17th, another resident in the area complained separately that the place is a nightmare since phase 2 reopening. Customers are drinking outside the bar area. They're even across the street at the coffee shop called Vita, drinking the alcohol from that location. Another complaint on Sunday of this past weekend, July 19th, that they were out there until 2 a.m. This led State Liquor Authority investigators, including Chairman Bradley, to go to the location yesterday, Bart Jaworski and Ms. Chairman Bradley. They arrived at around 7:35 p.m. There was a light rain, early evening, and there was still a scene out in front of this place. It appears they're using an unauthorized business name. The DBA is Set BBQ Bistro. They're using Set LES, which I guess is Lower East Side. And as our SLA investigator was standing on the street, some people walked by and commented without, I guess must have presumed the situation as they were looking it over, and commented, that's going to be the scene this weekend. Well, what was the scene they observed? Roughly 30 people standing next to or near the location, not socially distancing. Some were in line waiting to get drinks. Some were drinking, placing their cups on the ground while not consuming them. There were tables too, but the tables are way too close together. You have pictures from what was observed at around 7:30 in the evening yesterday, July 23rd. What's going on here is that there's a waitress serving out of a window. People are waiting in line for drinks, and they're going up to this essentially makeshift outdoor bar to obtain their drinks. And some of them, I suppose, are returning to seats, but many are standing, not social distancing. There's also music blasting from inside. People across the street drinking too, just like in the complaint from the prior week. People observed getting drinks from the window without food. Upon going inside, the SLA observed that everything inside is essentially closed. There are cases of alcohol stacked up near the window. It's basically set up as an outdoor bar. This is supposed to be a restaurant with waitress service. And it is apparently the case that this location has taken it upon itself to change its method of operation to become an illegal self-service outdoor bar, blasting music to attract people to attend, and succeeding. All of this is in violation of multiple executive orders and the guidance that we put in place to avoid having restaurants who are supposed to be allowed only to provide a dining experience or takeout, to avoid doing exactly what this place is doing. So it's an illegal takeout, drinks with no food, in violation of EO 202.3. It's illegal outdoor service, drinking while standing, tables too close together, in violation of 202.38. It's in violation of 202.43 because they're continuing to serve while obvious crowds of people are congregating within 100 feet of the premises. We haven't yet put the charges together, but we will be charging them shortly with all of these violations and a failure to supervise, probably also a illegal doing business as name. As far as the outdoor service, while we left it up to New York City to decide whether or not community board stipulations on outdoor service would or would not apply. And that's not necessarily the violation here, violating the community board. There's no question that the owners of this location knew what they were doing when they decided to open a restaurant in this neighborhood, and it was not to operate the way they are operating now. To do so and to take advantage of restrictions actually put in place to change their operation to something they knew they could never have, but are now doing in the midst of the pandemic, is even more insulting. These are operators who cannot be trusted to follow the law. There's an imminent risk to public health, safety, and welfare this weekend, because this will continue unless the board acts. We respectfully request that an emergency order summary suspension be issued for this licensee.
All right, thank you, council. Any questions, Commissioner Fan?
Council, I see in the pictures that there are essentially tents that are set up. Those are not allowed, right?
I believe they're allowed to put a barrier above or above the above their legitimate outdoor seating, but the outdoor seating setup is not proper.
Right. I don't really see any seating, so to speak. I see, yeah, I guess I see a couple people sitting down.
Yeah, the angle might not be good, the greatest on that on those pictures. Let me see if I can find exactly the one you're looking at.
I'm looking at image 1913.
No, I don't have the same thing. Hold on one second. 1913. Yeah, I believe that the green awning may not actually be in front of the place set.
Ah, okay.
If you see this street sign, if you see their sign,
Mm-hmm.
it seems to be, well, that may be that, you know what, I don't know if that's all their space. It's possible that it is, because there's a green awning that appears to be in front of set that matches the one. And if that's the case, it's, you know, the expanse of this setup is too broad. It's outside of the parameters of the building, but we don't know that for sure. So
Right, and you mentioned that they were licensed as an Asian bistro.
Well, that's what they claim their mode of operation was to be. Their method
And I
of
wonder if
operation.
that window that's at Sliders and Wings, it's also theirs. Okay.
I do not know if that's their window. I don't believe it is.
Yeah, but I see a lot of stools and a lot of basically, you know, people acting like they're at a bar because they're standing like high stools outside. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, Commissioner Ford.
I don't have any questions.
All right, then we'll go ahead with the vote. Commissioner Fan.
For violating the governor's executive order and other numerous other ABC laws and creating a dangerous condition for both employees and patrons. As council mentioned, you know, it's really important that we protect all the patrons that may be coming out this weekend. And therefore, due to the imminent threat to public health, safety, and welfare, I vote to summarily suspend this license.
Commissioner Ford.
This licensee had a makeshift outdoor bar serving drinks, precisely what the executive order is meant to preclude. Approximately, I guess, 30 to 40 people outside consuming alcoholic beverages and standing in and around outside the premises. I think it's clear there's no effort here to try to adhere to the rules of social distancing and preventing the congregation for the purpose of drinking. So I vote to summarily suspend as well.
All right, thank you. All right, I have nothing else to consider unless council's office has any more summaries to do. Okay.
We have no.
Commissioners, thank you, and council and Kayla and Mike, thank you as well. And this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Did you need to speak about it?